In early week practice, didn't play in the Commonwealth Clash against Virginia, but showed no signs of lingering effects in the Miami contest. She's there set to tip it off, and we are ready to get underway. Virginia Tech, Louisville on this Thursday night on the ACC Network. Pleasure to have you with us. And Virginia Tech on the attack right away, able to punch it inside, tie up to begin things that'll head the other way. What do you watch early in this one, Coach?
Well, both teams are really good defensively. Both teams want to play man-to-man, but they might blink. Both teams, I think, will end up playing some zone here tonight in Blacksburg.
Virginia Tech looking to knock off Louisville for the first time in an ACC contest. They've been very close, including the last time the teams met here in the fall of 21, and there it is. First shot knocked down. Who else?
Yeah, Hailey Van Lith, and when that ball goes in the basket, they have a chance to set their press, too.
Take a look at the starting five for Virginia Tech. Everything back a week later as it should be, with the exception, as you said, of Owosu, but they find themselves able to knock it down. Here's Louisville's starting five, Coach.
Yeah, and Kayla King answered on the other end. Of course, Carr, transfer from Syracuse, is a real key piece. The best three-point shooter in the ACC.
See what the Cards opt to do with this possession. She knocked down the first, goes inside this time. Tried to work it into the interior to Liz Dixon. That's going to be lost out. It'll be Hokies basketball. You referenced it in the open. Still no Owosu for the Hokies. That's a storyline we'll get into, but so much resting on the shoulders of the likes of Soule, who had a big Thursday a week ago. And you know what Amore has done as she brings it up the floor for the Hokies.
Amore, one of the best point guards in the league, along with Olivia Miles. I think it's between those two as to who's the best.
Reference Soule. Big birthday breakout, right? The last time around this day of the week, but it's just short on the shot. On the other end, shot put up by Jones.
Yeah, Morgan Jones, the transfer from Florida State, great athlete. We got a couple of the best athletes in the league in Morgan Jones and Taylor Soule. We'll see them do some spectacular athletic things here tonight.
Yeah, you can talk about the two frontline players, but there are so many peripheral storylines in this contest worth watching, particularly how you're going to line up against those two we highlighted in the open. They try to defend the premier player for Virginia Tech underneath, but Kitley knocks home her first bucket.
And part of the reason you do take her for granted is everything's so easy for her, and you cannot let Morgan Jones go with her right hand. She is so fast to the basket.
Well, and how quick was that transition bucket for Louisville that
We've
time?
Got a lot going on, partner.
Just wading into this one, and already a 4-4 start as they've split the first 8 down the middle, and contact in the paint as Cochran was there, and it's going to be whistled for the foul. Here is Coach Walls. You know the standard he has set in his tenure at Louisville.
Been unbelievable. They're third or fourth in the country in attendance. Meanwhile, he's going to 11 Sweet 16s or better in 16 years. Louisville is one of the premier programs in the cold country, not just in the ACC.
Well, and still having to try some things and piece it together. The battle for possession at the middle. That's kind of what you alluded to in the open. This is a team still trying to figure out what the combinations are going to be. It's why you see Louisville just now creeping back toward the standings.
Yeah, won 8 of their last 9. They started in the top 5, and they fell all the way out of the rankings. They'll be back in the rankings before the end of the year. I can promise you that.
Schedule's going to heat up a little bit, as we'll also talk about a little deeper into this broadcast, but they are 4-1 in ACC play to get things started after you said a little bit of a rocky beginning to the year. 3-ball tried, but it will not go down for Van Lith, and here comes Tech in transition. Pulled out by Traylor. Go back down. There's that turnaround, and she's just as true. Liz Kitley again.
You better help. Louisville so far trying to play her one-on-one. We'll see if that continues.
Off the rim and into the grasp just that quickly of King.
Louisville's not as good defensively as they have been in years past, but Jeff Walls really thinks they can get there. And you mentioned they're trying to get the transfers like Kristen Carr involved. Morgan Jones, we saw her earlier, and even Liz Dixon, who's been there. And then they've got another transfer coming off the bench, Josie Williams from Utah Valley, who's another big post player for Jeff Walls.
Different world in college athletics now. You're not just working the freshmen into it. So many new faces many times that you're searching for that maturity and consistency from. And those were the two words that kept coming up from the head coach of the Cards. And here's the head man at Virginia Tech. Coach Book said, you know, we're still on our side of things, trying to figure out what we're going to be once we have everybody in place.
Yeah, and really missing Ashley Owusu, who adds an awful lot, an All-American at the University of Maryland. And we'll see the numbers later on, the difference between having her in the lineup and not having her in the lineup. And right there, Olivia Cochran, the junior out of Columbus, Georgia, making the free throw line jumper for Louisville.
Yeah, you mentioned Owusu out of commission since December 1st, the first quarter of that Nebraska game, the broken pinky. And able to do so many of the team activities, but not the main activities. The team is looking forward to have her back to be involved in before the year is done. That out underneath will stay on this end of the floor. First 12 points split evenly down the middle as we close in on the 6-minute mark. Both teams seem to be in rhythm so far.
Yeah, both teams off to a good start, taking care of the basketball. They've both struggled on occasion with turning the basketball over, but they're executing really nice. Speaking of execution, hello.
There's another. This time she finds a spot just along the baseline, and Kitley has 3 early field goals. Remember, she's chasing the all-time mark with 18 or more points and 16 field goals, I should say, from the program record. 679 what she came up in with, 694 what she's chasing. With this kind of start, as you see Louisville answer on the other end of the floor, this is the kind of night with the type of start they're getting from Kitley here. You start to think about, can she get there in one game?
Yeah, she's done it before, and of course the baseline out of bounds is a specialty for Kenny Brooks. He is great at special situations.
Watch the Hokies on such possessions throughout the night. Inside the 5.5-minute mark. That's just inside the 3-point line. Won't go down for Amore. And here come the Cards.
Louisville would love for this game to be fast-paced.
Well, it's working out every time it is. Olivia Cochran lays this home.
Really
Georgia
nice
native.
job pushing it down the floor. Cochran running the floor. Got positioned deep down inside.
Cochran drives home the 5th bucket out of 8 tries to begin things for Louisville. Well, there to eventually clean that up and find it as Traylor. Amore gathers the handle. Just 2 to shoot. That won't make contact with anything, and in the end, it will be a shot clock violation. Takes us to our immediate timeout. Fast start in Blacksburg, and Louisville leads the Hokies 10-8. Mentioned the Hokies trying to pick up an elusive ACC win against Louisville. It was the senior celebration the last time they met. This, of course, at the Young Center. And the 2 we highlighted coming in here today were everything you would expect them to be. Both Kitley and Van Lith starred for their teams, and Louisville pulled away late.
Yeah, 21 and 20 points respectively, and Louisville put the finishing touches. Again, springboarding their way into the Final Four a year ago.
You talk about the 0-8 mark in ACC play. You got to go all the way back to 1995.
Were you born?
The last time that Virginia Tech came out on top in this series. We'll talk about what was going on in 95 here in a bit, but they're quickly back to it, and this is going to be rebounded and brought back up the floor by Carr. Well, look at that. Chattanooga, Tennessee, the location of my broadcast partner in 1995. And oh, by the way, Coach Walls, he was still playing. Northern Kentucky.
Northern Kentucky. Kenny Brooks, his first year at VMI on the men's side before he went back to JMU and broke every record on the women's basketball side that they could have.
There have been some close ones, and look no further than the last time these clubs met here in Blacksburg. Tech trailed by just a bucket with 10 seconds to play before Player of the Year Dana Evans ended up sealing it for a 4-point victory. But talk about Players of the Year and how well they play and how they come to life. We're seeing it right before our very eyes right now.
Liz Kitley with 4 field goals already.
Talk about one Player of the Year. Here's another on cue, showing how she can shine in front of the home fans. This rattles out on a shot from the perimeter from Carr, who can be such a sharp shooter from out there. And in transition, Soule lays it home.
Yeah, got out in transition last time. Morgan Jones contested it, didn't go in. This time she beat everybody down the floor.
Soule, the grad student, spent her career at BC prior to this, along with Ford. And she comes up with a key bucket for a Virginia Tech team out front by a couple. And we get a first whistle here. Take another look at the contact.
Yeah,
Coach.
Taylor Soule forced her to her left. DeAsia Gregg is there to try to draw the charge, but a little contact from Taylor Soule. It's one thing to force her left. You can't let her just go left. She's just too fast.
Again, the first personal on Soule is checking in to the contest for Louisville. is Robinson, another of those grad students. She's an Ashland, Kentucky native. And Robinson, she's able to do so many different things for this Louisville squad that she in many ways is that X factor for the Cards as she enters.
I should have had to pay to watch this game tonight. There's so many good players. Robinson is an outstanding defender. She can guard anybody on the floor. She is full of energy. And Taylor Guyman checked into the game for Virginia Tech also.
Paddling to secure this rebound on the far side was Harris. One more note on Robinson as she does enter here. 4 rebounds, 2 steals in 20 minutes off the bench. Key in that pit contest. And in the key sequence, she had a deflection and then a 3 in the final minutes as they were able to, again, pull away at the end and pick up the win. A little stop pop there. How about that from Van Lith as she tickles the twine?
Yeah, Jeff Wallace says you want to design a baseline out of bounds? And that was a little contact above the neck and shoulders. I'm sure the officials will be looking at this.
Yeah, big time.
I think it was kind of incidental, but Amore got the worst of that.
Amore helped to her feet. And as those wearing jersey number 5 collide, it's going to require a little housekeeping there. Yeah. As perspiration on the floor after that collision.
I thought they might take a look, but they clearly saw it as a basketball play and play on, and Louisville sets the press.
We'll give you another look at it. Well, perhaps in a moment, take another glance at that. Here comes Virginia Tech up the floor. Amore weighing options. Start for Tech, 6 of 13, 6 of 10 for Louisville. And 12 apiece on the scoreboard. What a first quarter this has been. Trying to work it down there to Kitley. Good anticipation and the steal by Harris.
Yeah, Nyla Harris, the freshman out of Windermere, Florida. Nice play to denying the ball to Kitley.
Orlando area, Lake Highland prep product for Harris. Under 3 to play. In the first period, it has been as even as you expected this contest to be. Kick out, wide open look far side, doesn't go down. You know, those are the type of looks they want to get for King, just not the result they were hoping for there.
That's exactly the shot they want.
Underneath, laid off the glass, and here's Harris on the other end of the floor making a contribution.
Yeah, the freshman, she's really talented, really long, active, can really run the floor. She can put it on the floor, too. She's got some skills on the perimeter.
And coming to life in ACC play, she averages 4.6 points, 4.4 rebounds in the ACC games this season. Kitley has an answer on the other end.
Roommate to roommate, Amore to Kitley. We've said that a few times this year.
Under 2 minutes to play in the opening period. Talk about stop and pop. That's what happens up at the elbow, but this one is off the mark for Jones.
Jones has added a lot to this basketball team, and I think she's just going to keep getting better as she understands what Coach Walls wants her to do.
2 for 5 start for Jones as she's put up more shots than anybody else on the Louisville side of things so far. And that is going to be offensive against the Hokies.
What a good defensive play. Nyla Harris has come in and made 2 big defensive plays and a good offensive play. Legal guarding position, draws the charge on Deasia Gregg, the transfer from Georgia Tech.
Can you provide a bigger lift than Harris has for Louisville in this last sequence?
3 big plays and 3 trips up and down the floor for Jeff Wallace.
Again, really coming alive in ACC play this season when they need her most. Van Lith thought about it, but she stepped on the sideline, and it's going to be Virginia Tech basketball.
Nice job by Georgia Amore contesting that pass.
Soule coming in, and that'll be the first breather for Kitley as she takes a seat.
One thing to take a look at with this press is not necessarily turning Virginia Tech over, although they would love to do that, but it takes time off the clock. It didn't take any time off the clock this time because Taylor Soule drove it all the way to the rim. But if Virginia Tech has less time to execute on offense, then Louisville has to defend less, and they can do a better job. This is a nice job. Attack the press. Don't be satisfied just to break the press. Make them pay for pressing you. That should always be the mindset of a team that's being pressed.
Soule to the line. She was a 3-time all-conference performer, 3rd team member at BC, and tabbed the most improved player in the ACC back in 2020 during her time there in Chestnut Hill. Trying to give Virginia Tech the lead, and does. And talk about people heating up of late. making a difference for their squads. Here's how Soule has come to life.
Yeah, really playing well, understanding when to take advantage of her talents, runs the floor, offensive rebounds, can drive it to the basket, and one of 4,000-point scorers for Kenny Brooks.
And had the double-double in the Commonwealth Clash last Thursday night when she was needed, because remember, that was the game Kitley sat after the ankle issue.
Against a team from Virginia who's really playing well.
But you know what, Coach? If you're wondering about any lingering effects from the ankle issue, this is going to turn it over and send it the other way. Think about the start for Kitley tonight. There are no lingering effects of her having to sit out last Thursday.
No, Kenny Brooks said that as much for the Miami game. Said, I was upset with her, didn't think she played very well. I'm looking at the stat sheet, and she's got 20 points and 8 rebounds coming off of an ankle injury.
And what did he say? So often I look at her and say, hey, that maybe wasn't your best, and then I look up and it's a double-double. He said, we have been spoiled watching this young lady play night in, night out in this building, and she's shown why again tonight. How about Amore here down the left side to lay it home?
Oh, gosh, she can do so many things. Explosive, got the three-point shot, getting better and better as a defender, makes this offense go. And she's been charged with guarding Hailey Van Lith with this particular lineup on the floor.
Stick around at halftime. She and Dunn will show you what fuels it. A little bit of information on Australian food coming up for you at the break. Long way to go between here and there, though, and an entertaining basketball game underway in Blacksburg. Final seconds of the opening quarter. These teams separated by a single possession.
Going to play for the last shot. They'll want to take it at about the 5-second mark. Time enough to get an offensive rebound, but not time enough for Louisville to go to the other end.
Amore kicks this down into the corner, and how about a three-ball from Kyman? The exclamation point on a tremendous quarter, and it gives Virginia Tech the largest lead either team enjoyed.
Taylor Guyman has been injured her whole career. A really good player, makes her third three-pointer of the season for Virginia Tech.
Liz Kitley, 5 of 5 from the floor in an impressive first quarter.
You want to know why she's smiling, partner? Because she's getting played one-on-one. If she's one-on-one, she is going to really put a performance on, and she is hitting a little bit of everything. Post up and 2 on the baseline out of bounds. Nothing but net.
Came in 16 field goals from the program record, which is 694. You start thinking about that now. With 5 in the first period already under her belt. You're looking for adjustments from Louisville, though, Mac, at some point.
Yeah, I would think so. You know, maybe it's zone, maybe it's double team in the post, but they can keep running players at her too.
This is called a tie-up, and possession arrow is with Louisville, so the Cards to inbound the basketball. How about this for the teams? 54% from the floor for Louisville, 53% from the floor as a team in the first quarter for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I know the coaches want good defense, but we like offense. I love this.
20-14, how it has set up in the early stages of this second period. Putting it on the floor, far side, as Robinson. Here's Carr, and then back in the direction of Robinson. She gets close enough, lays that home.
Robinson, not a great offensive threat, but such a good athlete and plays so hard. Any points they got out of her is a bonus for the Cards.
See such development from her since 18. Always seems to be in the right place at the right time to make a contribution for this squad. Down the right side of the lane was the right place at the right time. And Soule is going to the line for the and one opportunity.
Yeah, we talked about not letting Morgan Jones go with the right hand. You can't do the same thing with Soule. Beats her man right there and takes the contact. Still concentrates, eyes on the rim, gets it in the hole.
What is it about Thursday nights lately that Soule seems to enjoy so well? Finds her way back to the free throw line.
She was awfully good against UVA in the Commonwealth Clash.
That's just 1 week ago tonight, the most recent win for the Hokies. Pushing that top side and in the grasp of Robinson again. Now here's Harris. Harris, who provided a lift on both ends of the floor.
Got a mismatch down low with Harris.
Mid first period, and she was calling for the ball there. But
called for it for about 4 seconds.
The violation, going to give it back over to Virginia Tech.
Taylor Guyman fighting or trying to get around. Harris had her buried, but Louisville guards couldn't get the vision to see down inside.
Coming near side for the Hokies. Guyman just behind Morgan Jones.
Hokies attacking that press.
Well, and it is going to be a call of a step out of bounds far side.
Wow.
Louisville had one of those just a few moments ago. This time Virginia Tech kind of pushed into the sideline, and it's Louisville basketball.
Must be a left-hander thing.
Is that what it is?
Trailer. Must be.
Trouble for the Southpaws.
The crowd disagreed with that call.
They did not like it. Pretty good crowd, particularly when you consider that the students still making their way back from the break over the holidays.
Good crowd for the 13th ranked Hokies. Playing
Van
perennial
Lith.
power in Louisville.
And one of the best in the conference in Van Lith. She will miss on this occasion. Van Lith's start just 2 of 5 from the floor thus far, even if she had the first points of the contest. Trying to force the tie up, but somehow able to wrestle it out of there was Soule.
Good job by Cochran, getting around, knocking the ball loose.
Speaking of tie-ups, that's how it will end up, and the possession arrow this time will keep it right where it is on this end of the floor. Checking in for Virginia Tech, A. Moore.
Good defense, surrounding, scrambling. This is Louisville defense. Pressure on the basketball, knocked the pass away, trying to entry pass into the post. This time Cochran was a little too aggressive.
And what did Coach Brooks tell us as you get that contact out front? You talk about the aggressiveness in the defense. He said where we're able to start our offense is going to be so key as to how successful we are tonight.
And so far tonight, they've been able to run their offense out of where they want to run it. Louisville has not pushed that offense out on the floor yet.
Third foul on Cochran picked up there. Tuck that away in the back of your mind. Cochran with 3. That's off the iron. Going to be pulled down by Jones. Here is Jones.
See King back off Jones, take away the drive. You don't have to pressure Jones out there. Not likely to shoot it from 3 unless she's just wide open. See King back off of her. Soule against Van Lith.
5 to shoot. Oh boy, continuing to contest underneath was Traylor.
And did a good job right there. Outmatched, outsized, but a good job. Fought her off the block and then got her hand on the basketball. Maybe a little contact right there.
Kick trying to work it in that time. Well, this is the first time we've had a couple of stops back to back in the entire game, right? To let everybody catch their breath just a little bit.
Reset the shot clock with that kick.
It's going to end up sending right back underneath. Robinson looking for options. Got to get it in quickly and does, but this is straight blocked on the attempted shot by Van Lith. How about King arriving at the right time?
Yeah, I don't think Van Lith realized the shot clock reset. There was 4 originally when they took it out of bounds.
That's a great point, Coach. She may have felt like she had to get something off far more quickly than was necessary. Battling for any open window toward the rim was Kitley. It was, we told you, was perfect. 5 for 5 in that first quarter, a little more contested here.
Good job bodying up by Josie Williams, the transfer from Utah Valley.
You said we'd probably see a lot more of that after the way things went in the first quarter. Here's Van Lith, goes behind the back and draws a little contact in the process. How about that little touch foul that time?
You said a little contact. I think you were exactly right. That's a good matchup right there. Kayla King is an awfully good perimeter defender going against Van Lith, who is a great offensive player.
Sends Harris off, and Josie Williams comes on after the second foul was picked up by King. You can see popping out of the bug there. Van Lith down the right side. This time she's going to be whistled for taking an extra step, and it'll belong to the Hokies.
Yeah, and she's having a discussion. She's not going to win that discussion, but
wasn't sold on the fact that that was a traveling violation.
Thought there might have been a little contact. There might have been some contact, but that it'd have been close as to who initiated it, to be honest. But good physical basketball.
Everything you'd want out of a game with so much on the line for these two teams is they look at this as a chance to really point things right direction down the stretch. This a 3-ball that will not go on the shot taken by Traylor.
Virginia Tech still struggling from beyond the arc. Have not shot the ball as well as they did a year ago.
There's Josie Williams, the Utah native, freshly into the game, comes down the lane and will end up laying this home.
A great hustle by Robinson kept that ball alive, and Williams was the beneficiary of that.
So Williams, who's appeared in 18 of 19 now for Louisville this season, the Utah Valley transfer, able to put herself in the scorebook.
Louisville in that matchup zone we talked about. Give Kitley a little different look. See Kitley flash to the high post.
Virginia Tech lead now just at 5 as they go down to Kitley. And the result on the other end, what Louisville had hoped for. So you said it, the adjustment having been made in the way they are attempting to handle Kitley, obvious in this second period.
Yeah, Josie Williams comes in and really bodies up. Then they go to the 2-3 matchup zone. Give Kitley a different look, make her shoot different shots than she's been shooting just man-to-man.
You were talking prior to this when you said as interesting as the two premier players in this contest are the players that are going to be asked to cover them along the way tonight. Worth watching. That's inside to Williams again, and she lays home another bucket for Louisville.
Really good. Just shooter. She can shoot the 3, but you can also see that she can play close to the rim too down there.
Athletic family she comes from, was a 2-time all-WAC performer when she was at Utah Valley before working her way to Louisville. Struggling to try to keep it in bounds underneath. And let's take a look at that Louisville score just a moment ago.
Now this is a great view. Ball screen, roll. Kitley didn't get back in. The help didn't come over quick enough. Really good execution by Louisville right there. Virginia Tech just a little late. Both players that could have kept that from happening got there just a little bit late. Good job defending that baseline out of bounds that time by Louisville.
Coach's dream. And how about on the other end as they work it in immediately for another coach's dream. Bucket for Traylor. And with 4:53 to play in Blacksburg in the second period, we'll break away with the Hokies up 5. 5 points separating these two as Louisville from the line will try to close that gap just a little bit. Will, as the first is knocked down by Jones. Jones, who on the year 35 of 46 from the free throw line, improves that average a little more, knocks them both down. And Louisville within one possession.
All ACC last year for Florida State.
There's several transfers that Mac was telling you about earlier. Beginning to gel. You can see it really across the last few games for a Louisville team. And it's happening when they need it to happen, Coach, because they're about to go into a much different phase schedule-wise. That'll change the course of this contest right now. How about that 3-ball knocked down by Amore?
Louisville in that 2-3 zone. If you can get the ball in the high post, you can get anything you want.
Cards work it to one possession from the free throw line. And that was Virginia Tech's answer. Van Lith looking for a little help. She'll have it from Russell. Now back her direction, and she knocks down a 3-ball.
Yeah, triple handoff right there. Van Lith didn't need much room and not shooting the ball great from 3 this year, but certainly capable.
Coming off a game in which she used that as a weapon more so than usual. She's 3 of 7 from the field to begin things. That her first 3. Remember, she's got 18 or more in all ACC games. On the other end, her counterpart trying to answer. Kitley will see that roll back down.
Yeah, Van Lith was 4 of 10 against Pitt. Pitt played 40 minutes of zone the other night.
Look at this last sequence.
Get the ball to the high post. The zone must collapse. You might be able to throw it straight down the gut of the zone or kick it out to a wide open wing shooter. Van Lith doesn't need much room. That was a mistake by Georgia Amore. You've got to close that gap.
And first for her from beyond the arc. Try to get her rolling here in this second period. That's going to require a effort at the half-court line. Ends up being thrown away into that Louisville bench.
Yeah, you could have gone on into the backcourt and just retrieved the basketball.
Yep.
Didn't have to save it right there. Got a break because Louisville touched the ball before it went out of bounds right there. Hokies got a break right there. 15 on the shot clock.
Soule hands it back off to Amore. Just inside 10 to shoot. That rolls off. Shot from distance taken by Gregg. On the move was Robinson. And how about that? A little bit too much on that screen.
Point of emphasis, got to be still. And you see it a lot on dribble handoffs where the person handing the basketball off gets a little bit too physical. Watch that. She steps out and impedes the process of Amore. Good call.
So with 3:15 and ticking downward to go in the opening half, these teams still separated by just a 3-point basket. This one living up to everything that most expected here in Blacksburg tonight.
Staying in that zone. Virginia Tech not shooting the ball well from the perimeter.
Lost out. Was it touched on the Louisville side of things? Looks like it will stay down on this end.
8 on the shot clock. You just have to be aware of that.
And for Kitley initially, now just trying to get it into somebody. And wasn't necessarily intended originally for Traylor, but she'll take it.
Unintended consequences right there benefit the Hokies on that one.
Traylor, a couple of key buckets early in this one, adds another. Virginia Tech throws it back out to 5.
Typical physical ACC women's basketball. We'll talk a lot more about the whole league in the second half. What a great year it is for women's basketball in the league.
Well, you think about the parity, every night difficult, every possession key. And this one's going to end up counting for Traylor again.
Traylor with 6 points now, putting that ball on the floor.
3 of 5 as it grows to 32-25.
She's had to play a lot more minutes with Owusu on the bench with the injury, and nice play by Dixon right
Boy,
there.
that's an answer, isn't it, on the other end?
Yeah, the transfer from Georgia Tech. You got your center out there handling the ball like a guard.
Well,
it's quite a weapon.
If that's the end result, you'll take it, right? Looking for a gap in that Louisville defense. None found just yet for the Hokies. Boy, what a move for Soule to get loose, and she lays it in.
She's so explosive. A skip pass, kick it to Soule, shot fake, drive it to the rim.
She's got 8. Kitley leading the way with 10 for Virginia Tech. And here is Van Lith on the other end of the floor for Louisville. Soule had a chance to get to double figures right there, just a little bit too far underneath and couldn't lay it home. Wide open look, stops and drops it in. Russell, the native of Ontario, the junior, with a key bucket.
That's what she is, the three-point shooter of all the people that Louisville needed to have the ball in their hands. That was perfect for the Cardinals.
Russell, who shoots 41% from there, it's her 17th of the year. Rolls off the front. Here come the Cards again, trying to really close things up in the final minute, and that's going to be offensive.
Offensive foul on trying for Morgan Jones. Her first personal foul. 15 foul. Checking in number 3, Kitley Carr.
Hokies a beneficiary of a call at a time when they needed it here, Mac. Momentum really trending Louisville there in the last several moments, but this will slow things a bit.
Yeah, big stop right there.
Final half minute before the intermission.
See which team has the momentum going into the locker room. It's been a great first half.
About 9 seconds separation between the shot clock and the game clock. They'll take the result with the Hokies here. Amore again drops one through.
The precocious point guard making a big play. Somebody better guard Carr, make her drive it. That's a good play.
But it left a wide open Dixon to lay home the finish. No shot off before the half comes to a close. The lead will be 4 for Virginia Tech at 36-32 at the break. Wow, what a first half between these two. Just in many ways everything you would expect it to be. Coach, a little bit of a track meet in that first half, huh?
Down the floor, they got some transition baskets. We got some long rebounds that led to some opportunities. So, you know, two teams like this, you know, we both prefer to get up and down the floor. So hopefully it'll be pretty much the same in the second half.
two good teams making big plays. It seemed like every time they made a big play, you had an answer on either end of the floor.
Yeah, I think it's both ways. You know, we had an opportunity to push it out, miss a shot we think we probably could have made. They came down in transition and make a big shot. So big players, you know, best players make good plays, and we just got to try to prevail in the second half.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time. Well, those teams cooled off a little bit. 52% from the floor for Louisville, 48% from the floor for Virginia Tech in that wild first half.
Just an outstanding first half. This is what we hope for, partner.
Intermission on the other side of the break. Preseason 1 and 2 in the ACC, playing like it tonight, entertaining fans inside Castle Coliseum to the tune of a 36-32 halftime separation. We're walking back inside Castle. Coach, you wonder on nights like this, can the game live up to exactly what it looks like on paper? Will it be worthy of the hype? So far, so good at the break.
Yeah, no question. The stars played well, but the supporting cast came in a little bit too. You saw Morgan Jones and Taylor Soule go at it, and they were really good support players in this game. But the difference so far in this game, I think, is point guard play. Georgia Amore with 7 points and really doing a good job defensively no matter where she's matched up for the most part. She let Van Lith get loose for a three, but Carr with Kitley Carr, the transfer from Syracuse, with no points yet. But I think that's the difference. But there were haymakers going all over the place. It was big plays on offense and defense.
And we saw some adjustments already from one quarter to the next for Louisville. You know those are being made right now. That's because these two premier playmakers showed in flashes what they're capable of.
Well, certainly Louisville going to a zone had some influence on Kitley, but Virginia Tech still found ways to score. Virginia Tech stayed in the man-to-man. I thought they might jump in a little bit of zone, but of course you don't want to let Carr get going. And you saw what Van Lith was able to do, and Kitley got off to a great start, hitting her first 5 field goals. But after that, they changed things up. They got a little more physical. They denied the basketball to her a little bit better. The zone took her away from the basket where she was really comfortable, but still a good first half for the Kitleys, you know, that we've come to know and love, because she's still on her way to another double-double.
Now, tell 2 quarters for her, though. 5 for 5 in that first period, held scoreless in that second period, interestingly enough. Here are the overall numbers for these two teams. Kind of said tongue-in-cheek going to break, they cooled off shooting-wise down to right around 50%.
Yeah. Although both teams still struggling from long range, they're doing their damage inside, and that's kind of been the story for both of them. Carr is an outstanding three-point shooter. She didn't get loose in the first half, and Virginia Tech, you know, they've shown some glimpses of their past where they were a three-point shooting team, but they have not been the same three-point shooting team they have been in the past few years.
Van Lith, who you saw there just a moment ago, 7 points. She was 3 of 8 in that first half. Knocks down her 4th field goal, and that's a good start to the third quarter for Van Lith.
Set play right there, ran her off the screen, and then dribble handoff. Robinson got her the basketball, and Louisville is staying in that 2-3 zone.
Talk about Kitley, Van Lith being quiet maybe for a quarter here, quarter there, certain stretches in the game. Oh, by the way, 9 points for Van Lith, and you said it, already double figures in place for Kitley, and we still got almost the entire half of basketball remaining.
Yeah,
Joy to have you with us as we settle into the third period. Virginia Tech leading it by a bucket now.
A little sloppy there with the turnover. There's that same play with the back door and then coming back around for the dribble handoff.
Van Lith, a little bit of heat check maybe after the way things went on that first possession. She finds this one a little too strong, and back of the iron is what she receives. Here come the Hokies. Adjustments for Virginia Tech in the second half.
I think that, you know, they've got to probe this zone a little bit, but they did a good job. When they got the ball into the high post, they made good things happen.
I'll ask you on the other end of the floor, talk Louisville in just a moment, but first only 6 with which to shoot for the Hokies, and this one from downtown does connect with the rim. That would have reset things, but it's a little consequences. The rebound is away to the Cards. A little too deep in there maybe perhaps for Robinson. Now it goes down low. Dixon looking for room, and got to be a tie-up. Possession arrow will send it to the other end of the floor. Let's talk the Louisville adjustments if needed. Here's one more look at that tie-up, then we'll get there.
Yeah, this is a nice job by Kitley. Stays straight up in the post, has a chance to put her hand on the basketball. Underrated defensive player. She gets recognized for block shots, but she's pretty sound, and you almost never see her in foul trouble.
Yeah, so many other things she provides that get lost in the fray with all the point scoring. We talked about Hokies adjustments a moment ago. How about Louisville? What do you see them needing to do differently, Coach?
Well, I think they were happy with the zone. We see them coming out in the second half in that same zone, but of course they've got to locate the shooters, and so far that hadn't made a lot of difference. But Virginia Tech, like we mentioned, still finding ways to score. The offensive glass by Taylor Soule, one of the best offensive rebounders, if not the best offensive rebounder in the ACC.
After the perimeter shot rattled out, but here's one of those quick buckets in answer on the other end of the floor for Louisville as Robinson lays it home.
Robinson makes a lot of things happen. Doesn't score a ton, but she really makes things happen on both ends. Great defender that we talked about, but she can spur the offense on right there, and of course she made that basket just by attacking the rim.
Turnovers, it's going to be inbounded by Louisville over there. Just how many different things can Robinson do? We talked about the key deflection, the three even in the final minutes of that Pitt contest. They talk about her heart, her grit, and how continually teachable she has been across the course of her career, and you can see it in moments like the one you just witnessed. Van Lith finds an opening in that defense. She seems to be in a rhythm here in the third quarter all of a sudden.
Yeah, they went to her right away on a set play, and they may have jump-started Van Lith. That's not good news for Virginia Tech.
Remember, she's coming off a monster game versus Pitt. 18 points, had 4 threes. Career best, 7 assists and a couple of blocks. Both of those tied career highs as well. So that's the kind of night she has carried over into Blacksburg on this evening.
Good job of cutting Morgan Jones off. She likes to probe that defense. It's just so fast.
Tried to screen for Van Lith there, but Kitley was having none of it. Came up top, spoiled it.
Good defensive possession so far for Virginia Tech. See what Robinson could do against Guyman one-on-one.
With the shot clock at 5, that's off the glass bar side, and Kitley will clean it up. Keeping a running total of her rebounds. In this 38-38 contest, she now has 5 of them to go alongside 10
Here's the
points.
high post. You get the ball to the high post against that 2-3 zone. It sounds so simple, but when you get the ball right there, the entire zone has to react to it.
Soule, who from the charity stripe, 75% shooter at 35 of 47. This one going to work its way off. 38 apiece with 6:39 to play in the third period. Soule will try to reclaim the lead for Virginia Tech with his free throw. Does so.
Yeah, 75% on the season.
Yep.
Gets 1 of 2 right there. So with 10 points, 2 rebounds.
Answer possession for Louisville. That will contact nothing and will belong to the Hokies. Fans inside Castle Coliseum, I'm going to let them know about it.
Yeah, Van Lith only shooting 24% from long range this year. That's off from last year, but like I said, we thought she got going a little bit against Pitt with 4 out of 10 in that comeback win. Of course, Pitt stayed in a zone. They weren't playing man-to-man.
And she has the 11 points tonight, 5 of 12, including 1 of 5 from beyond the arc in this contest.
You know, Lance White's group at Pittsburgh is you know, they're 0-5, but they've played good basketball. There goes the ball to the high post again.
Nobody home down low, and Soule will have an easy bucket as a result.
Yeah, a lot of attention to Liz Kitley, and they forgot about Taylor Soule.
Rightfully so.
Who now has 12 points.
Boy, fighting to get near the bucket, and how about the job to lay that in for Jones, and she'll earn the and one. Let's look at that sequence again here, Mac.
Yeah, she didn't want to go left, but here on the other end, ball goes to the high post. The zone spreads out instead of collapsing. Bad communication on that end, but on the other end, Morgan Jones, who doesn't want to go left, she went left with her right hand, and she's so athletic she was able to make that shot.
The foul was the second personal on Soule, and Jones, who was 35 of 46 at 76% from the stripe coming in, makes it three-point play the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, the only player in foul trouble is Cochran with 3 in that first half. She missed a little time because of that.
Picked those up fairly early.
There you go again, Robinson with the mismatch against Soule. Again, the ball to the high post, and Soule posting up, and Louisville didn't have an answer with a smaller lineup in there. Right now they've got Morgan Jones at the 4, and she is 6'2", but not a true post player.
Greg works back in for Virginia Tech after the whistle, and that'll give Guyman a chance to take a seat. That on Robinson was number 2 in the personal department. How about this turnaround? Just a little too strong on that touch from Kitley.
Real big lineup in there for Virginia Tech right now with DeAsia Gregg and Soule and Kitley, while on the other end, Louisville's got a really small lineup.
And it resulted in an offensive rebound, an extended possession, but a whistle before this is laid home by Kitley.
And that's Cochran's 4th
That's
foul.
Going to be number 4 on 44. You got it. And just a look of disbelief from Cochran right now as the junior has picked up that 4th foul.
That's a big foul. Nice job right there. Cochran doesn't get outside the circle. Soule going back to the free throw line.
Having to depart, she provides so much. Of course, comes from a family of athletes. You know of her mother, Tara Williams, 2-time All-SEC as a senior at Auburn. Second team All-SEC, I should say, as a senior at Auburn in '97. A couple of seasons in the WNBA.
Mark that down.
And then Dad, Antonio, played at Georgia. He's living high on the hog right now, right? Georgia
Yes,
Bulldogs did pretty well in football. He was a football player drafted in the '99 NFL draft. She has the talent, but in some foul trouble right now. You were going to say mark that down.
41-41 when Cochran goes out with 5 minutes left to go in the third quarter.
We give you her pedigree because she's such a key piece of the puzzle for Louisville. Now missing. We'll see how long she sits and just what Virginia Tech is able to do during that time. This is gathered up inside. How about that rebound? The putback there for Josie Williams. Williams has had a few key moments in this game already.
She really has. And you know, in place of Cochran, she has now 6 points coming off the bench.
And remember, we told you earlier, she was a 2-time All-WAC player at Utah Valley. Finding her prime spots tonight to make a difference.
Louisville's gone back to man-to-man now. They got out of that zone.
Worked out. Rebound away in the end into the grasp of Jones. Just lost the handle on this. With 4:42 to play, nothing separating Virginia Tech and Louisville. The veteran Soule showing up very big in the second half already. She leads all scorers when you take a look at what she's done of late.
Yeah, and she's done it in a variety of ways. She really gets on the offensive glass. She can post up. She can put the ball on the floor. There she is against the zone, posting up down low, and she's been to the free throw line 7 times. 2 for 2 from the floor and 3 out of 5 from the free throw line in the second half already. Made
her mark on this league in Chestnut Hill, but boy, is she doing some great work in Blacksburg for the Hokies tonight. 43 apiece with 4:33 to go third quarter.
Louisville switched back to the zone.
Kitley with it in the danger zone up top is able to survive that. It stays with the Hokies. 10 to shoot now. Amor thought there was an opening there. Just 2 to shoot now. She's going to be fortunate to get anything off. Just will, and almost drove that home. A little short, front of the iron.
Jones in transition.
Jones so tough as she splits the defense and lays it home.
That is money for Louisville. It didn't matter that she was 1-on-3. She is so fast going the other way. It's so hard to get in front of her.
Just going to say, Mac, this bucket makes Jones the leading scorer on the night on the Louisville side of things.
Yeah, and a lot of it with just the speed, getting to the other end. Knew she had the defense at a disadvantage.
If she can come up with another one of those 3-point plays with the and one coming from the line, and she does, she now has 14 to lead the way for Louisville.
Really nice chess match. You know, Louisville has gone small. Virginia Tech has gone big. It'll be interesting to see what Georgia Amor does the rest of this game. She's 3 for 10 right now after going 5 for 15 against Miami. But we don't have any question about how Taylor Soule's going to do, though.
Soule using every bit of that 5'11" frame to attack the basket and pull Virginia Tech within 1. Here's Van Lith.
Good job by Kayla King, staying in front of Van Lith.
Closed off all those passing lanes to Virginia Tech. That's a little too strong. And here's Kitley to rebound it. Fans wanted a little more there on the contact underneath, but it is Virginia Tech basketball. Good recovery by Soule there. She'll stay with it. A little too strong. Kitley's there to clean it up and lay it back in.
Yeah, Kitley, she has learned to play through contact on both ends.
That is her first bucket since that tremendous start of 5 for 5 in the first quarter, and it comes with 3 minutes and change remaining here in the third.
Puts the Hokies back in front.
So she was in double figures at the first horn. And how about Van Lith, who made that look effortless?
Just so good, so exciting and so competitive, like we talked about. She can just will this team to victory.
And how often do you see it? The great players, when they are on the floor opposite one another, they find a way to just punch and counter punch. And right now, it is Soule doing the majority of the punching for Virginia Tech. She continues to drive to the bucket, and here she'll earn an and one of her own.
And you'll see Louisville cheating toward the shooters, even though they haven't been shooting the ball well. There's nobody there to cut her off.
One more glance at Soule, off balance, laid that behind the head and was able to get it to fall. And here she is now looking for her 20th point of the night at the charity stripe.
This is why the Boston College transfer is here. She wanted to play on a ranked team.
Kitley would not be denied underneath, and here's Soule again, gets that to fall right over the top of the defender.
Yeah, and then she talked a little bit and got a technical.
And it was
too celebrated just a little bit.
Much extracurricular on the end of this. Now, she had become the heart and soul of the Virginia Tech attack in the last several moments, but you said it, what happens after the bucket falls a bit too much, and that'll change the pace of this contest. Tough timing too with Virginia Tech really beginning to piece things together, and that picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, and you see it happen a lot. Sometimes you get it called, sometimes you don't.
Van Lith knocks down the first of the free throws after the technical. And she'll make them count. So after all of that, following the technical foul, Louisville ties the basketball game back up and will have possession.
Yeah.
So you talk about the way the momentum shifted there.
Van Lith, the best free throw shooter in the ACC.
Yeah, no question who's going to be at the charity stripe there, right? 51 all with 2:16 left third. Enough of a window there to put it up. How about that distance shot? Beautiful stroke from Morgan Jones.
Yeah, and nice patience on her part. She could have shot the three. She drove it to where she was comfortable and gave Louisville the lead back in this back and forth contest.
Well, 16 for her, 16 for Van Lith, and now contact underneath as they try to work it to Kitley. As Josie Williams tried to cover her. And a 15th foul already in this period, a third personal picked up on this occasion by Williams.
Yeah, they're throwing everything they can but the kitchen sink at Kitley.
And she is off the mark on the first of the free throws. Kitley, who has knocked down 59 of 79 coming in, sits right around 75%. Here's a look at just how good she's been and where she sits in so many of the categories ACC-wise.
A big 2 minutes here, partner.
1 point the separation. Louisville slight advantage. Jones right into the grasp of Kitley.
Good defense by Kayla King.
Kitley, right place, right time to gather that up. Can King do something on the other end? Looks far side where Traylor was located. Back to King. Can't get the three to go. And Kitley fighting for the rebound. We'll hear the whistle, and they love it in this building.
Yeah, they recognize Josie Williams. She has been beating on Kitley on both ends of the floor. Got called on it, and she goes to the bench with four to get on Cochran.
Her fourth, both she and Cochran sharing that undesired designation at the moment. And here's
Kitley with the nice inside position. Williams didn't have any choice but to try to body her up.
Kitley to the line again, ends up in her hands on the defensive end. She's able to do this on the offensive end. Such a key contributor. You know what she does night in, night out. You know the history for her. And she's trying to remind everybody on this evening, why she's reigning in that category that they're both pursuing, she and Van Lith, who we've talked so much about in this one. 1:15 to play in the third, and every time you look up, for the majority of the night, it's been one possession. Sometimes like this, 1 point separating these teams. Here's Van Lith. Boy, such a true stroke from her as well.
At mid-range, it's almost automatic from mid-range.
18 for Van Lith. Down toward Kitley territory one more time. A little too strong. This one going to be gathered up by Carr far side. Carr, she's looking to get involved and will. Well, there is Chrislyn Carr reminding you how deadly she can be from beyond the arc.
Yeah, she hadn't done a lot, but she can really make those wide open threes. Transition got her that one.
First bucket of the night comes in the final minute of the third quarter to give Louisville a lead of 4. Creates a little space. This trailer, and she has one of her own from the top of the key.
Big shot and another big shot.
Back to 1 with 5 ticks remaining in the third quarter. Van Lith, trailer will try to heave this up before the horn, but it is to no avail. What is the basketball game itself? 58-57, Louisville and Virginia Tech as we head to the fourth. Add it all up, 1 point separating these two, 1 quarter of action left to settle it. One of the reasons Louisville up 58-57, the play of Jones tonight.
Yeah, Morgan Jones, the grad transfer from Florida State, has just been outstanding. Very efficient, running the floor, picking her chances there. 16 points, 7 rebounds on 6 out of 10 shooting. She has been the reason that Louisville is ahead at this point.
Tied her season high in rebounding with 8 of them last time around. Also had 7 points, a couple of assists, and a steal in that most recent contest against Pitt that we've talked a little bit about. And here she is tonight with 16 points and so many other things that Mac just told you about. You know, that win against Pitt on Sunday, 2013 team that made that run to the national title game was on hand. That team that engineered the historic upset of Baylor. This team talked about how they were inspired by that to put it together down the stretch here. In fact, Van Lith said, we hope in the second half of that Pitt game, the way they saw us respond and what they see from us down the stretch the remainder of this season reminds them a little bit of themselves, that historic team that was on hand for a 10-year anniversary. Has it really been 10 years since that Louisville team had that historic upset of Baylor, made that run all the way to the title contest in which they took on UConn? But this team trying to learn from that group, starting to gel, and you've seen it a little more in this basketball game. And well, football looked like that a little bit on the far side. It gets physical, and we expect it to do that here in this fourth quarter. What do you see this coming down to based upon what we've seen through 3 periods, Mac?
Gosh, I don't know. They have all had answers out there. You're going to have to do a great job of focusing on. Like knowing Carr is going to be a three-point shooter. Robinson that time with the great defensive play. And, of course, you've got to guard Van Lith and get back down the floor against Jones.
Just relentless effort, and Van Lith puts it back up. She will draw the contact.
The Energizer Bunny, isn't it?
Well, and that's going to be against Soule. I remember Soule in the thick of things when Virginia Tech was trying to take control of the basketball game a little earlier. A little extra resulted in the technical foul. She ends up picking up her 4th there once you add it all together. So that's a difference-making stat that you want to keep an eye on the rest of the way as well.
That's really big. Yeah, she was playing so well, especially on the offensive end, but doing some good things defensively too. Now it's up to Deasia Gregg, who came in for her to pick up the pace.
And Soule departs leading all scorers on both sides with 21 points. Van Lith, by putting that through the bucket, now has 20 of her own. She leads everybody on the Louisville side of things, with Jones, who we highlighted a moment ago, still in tow at 16. Who's going to step up for Virginia Tech on this possession? Boy, everyone seeming more and more critical as we work our way into this 4th period.
Yeah, it seems like a 5 or 6 point lead would be almost insurmountable. You want to stay within that one score.
5 or 6 point lead, what's that?
We haven't seen many of them, have we?
Not much of it tonight. How about Amore? Just tried to will that down, but it's off the side of the rim. Rebound to Louisville.
Yeah, Amore now 3 for 11 from the floor, just not getting the ball in the basket.
Robinson directed traffic coming up the floor. Here's Carr. Remember, she did hit a 3 a moment ago. Boy, if she comes to life, a couple of sharp shooters on each side, guarding one another that could do that, it could be difference-making for Louisville. Won't happen on this trip as it rims out.
That's a win on defense right there to get her to take a contested 2.
Boy, she went for broke on that steal attempt, too. Didn't happen. Knocked down. True from behind the arc is Taylor.
Taylor, the only perimeter threat right now for Virginia Tech, and she did a lot of damage going to the hole, but she's made 2 big threes here in the second half.
Oh, and by the way, Kitley picked up her 10th rebound that trip just prior, but the transition bucket happening so quickly, you don't have much time to document that. A double-double for Kitley. You'll remember she had 10 points in the opening quarter alone, and here she adds a block to her stat line. Let's take a look at the 3 and then the latest impact moment for Kitley. Here's the 3 ball.
Nice job right here. Got an advantage after going for the steal, and Taylor backs him off, steps back, knocks it down.
Boy, then you saw that block on the other end of the floor, just the latest of the impact moments for Kitley. Into Van Lith's hands, just 1 to shoot. She's got to get it up quickly. And that may have bailed everything out. 1 second on the shot clock as she worked through. And in the end, the bucket's going to go. So she does just get this off, Coach.
Is she clutch? And the foul. And of course, she goes to the free throw line where she is automatic.
You know, Van Lith, again, a night in which a little bit of a slow start perhaps, but you said it, on money from the charity stripe, and she's got 23 as her team is up by 3. Take a look at the scoring breakdown for Van Lith, and you see just how much it rests on her shoulders for Louisville.
We said DeAsia Gregg had to step up, coming in for Taylor Soule. What a nice touch by the grad transfer from graduate student, now transferring from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and the first points for the Florence, South Carolina native. And her senior campaign got the start last Thursday in the Commonwealth Clash contest, has appeared in every game in one way or another for Virginia Tech this year. Under 7 to go. Still just 1 point between these two teams. Looking for some kind of room is Taylor. There is none.
Good job by Van Lith running her off the 3-point line.
Now finds some space just above that ACC logo, and grab of the right lower leg area that time by Kitley, and everybody in the building takes a deep breath as she does not get up immediately, but looks to be calling for a little help to come to her feet.
Yeah, it looked like she just cramped, actually. She was trying to get the cramp out of it, I think. I don't think she sprained her ankle. We shouldn't be speculating, but
no,
based on what they did, she cramped up right there.
No speculation at all, but I'll say this. Anytime she goes to the floor and doesn't pop right back up, everybody in this building. And Hokies everywhere taking a bit of a deep breath, but she looks to continue as she heads to the charity stripe.
A chance to put the Hokies back in the lead again.
Kitley knocks down point number 16 tonight. Well, you think about what a big ACC game this is. You think about the ACC connection to the Kitley family. You know of her dad, Ralph, who played at Wake. He was a Duke fan, Mike Jaminski and company, and he won a state high school basketball championship at North Carolina in the Dean Dome. So the ACC connections just abound for the Kitley family. And he talks about watching her, Mac, and he says, it's incredibly fulfilling to see my daughter play at the level that she is playing. And how many fathers, daughters can have a conversation, and he talks to everybody else about how special athletically his kid is. A lot of parents do that. He can do that, and everybody else agrees.
Not a question. Not a question. Taylor right there with the good play. Didn't have anything on the perimeter, took it in there and goes to the free throw line.
Yeah, that's an objective conversation, isn't it, when you think about what she's meant to Virginia Tech. And Traylor, talk about folks who've meant something to Virginia Tech tonight. She has quietly put together a double-figure performance, and she goes to the line looking for more, as Kitley will take a seat, and here's Soule back into the game with those 4 fouls.
Yeah, a little bit of a risk there, but also you want to give Kitley a minute here so that the under 5 timeout comes. She's well rested and can go to the end of the game.
They're going to need, you would think, so much of it to run through her down the stretch in this ball game that is very much up for grabs. And in keeping with your analysis just a moment ago, looks like they're working with that calf area on the far side, which a good sign, in hopes that she can be back in, as you said, fresh when it counts for Virginia Tech. You want that on both teams and on all these players on all sides with what's at stake here.
Van Lith time, isn't it?
Van Lith steps right inside the three-point line, drops it home. Boy, she has found her rhythm in this second half and has posted 27 points for Louisville tonight.
Yeah, sloppy play right there on the inbounds pass. Greg going to Amore.
Well, you probably need a moment to catch your breath before the balance of this one. 67-65 Louisville as we're set to head down the stretch. These two trying to make sure the short list for Player of the Year candidates in the Atlantic Coast Conference gets a little shorter. Both of them performing very well in a primetime matchup tonight with all eyes on them as they go head-to-head. Everything you would want from your leader. You can say that on both sides, Coach.
Yeah, they just backed up everything we said in the open. They are two of the very best.
Goes into Van Lith's hands right now. Talk about 18 or more in every ACC game you play. And that's seizing the moment. And doing that down the stretch suddenly is Carr. Just a couple of made threes in the game, but she's picked her spots.
Yeah, Virginia Tech with zone coming out of that timeout, but got to Carr late.
Just 6 points for Carr, but again, I'll underscore the timely nature of them as it takes the lead to 5 with just over 5 remaining in the basketball game. Traylor. Kitley trying to get in there and lay that back. She will. And there's a snapshot of the relentless efforts you've seen from Kitley tonight. You know, there was a stretch in this basketball game, Coach, in which she was scuffling to score a bit. They had adjusted defensively to her, but she has kept fighting, and it's resulted in plays like this.
Yeah, you don't become the ACC Player of the Year by not playing through a little bit of adversity. It'll be interesting to see on the continued chess match when Cochran comes back in this game.
Kitley, who's posted 18 now, and she knocking that down to complete the three-point play, is on the doorstep of 20 in her own right. Again, double-double. That drama was taken care of long ago. 12 rebounds to go with it tonight for Kitley. Lead just 2. Under 5 to play. Boy, lost and right into the grasp of King. Slows everything up. We haven't said that much tonight.
No, huge turnover right there, giving Virginia Tech a chance to tie or take the lead.
Amore's hands. Hokies don't mind having it there with the way she has played of late.
Soule's got a good matchup right here against Robinson. Now she's matched up against Van Lith.
Just 7 on the shot clock. Virginia Tech way out at the VT logo. Now getting the offense rolling. 3 to shoot. And that's back of the iron for Amore. Looked as if that was going to be reeled in initially by Kitley. Takes us to our timeout with 4:18 to play in Castle. The Wichita region most outstanding player from the most recent edition of the NCAA tournament knows something about being clutch. Here's a compilation of her fourth quarter buckets tonight.
Yeah, like we talked in the open, she can just pick a team up and carry them on her back, and she has done that here in the fourth quarter. Still not a lot of separation. 2-point lead, Virginia Tech ball.
Despite the way things started, she's 10 of 20 from the field in this contest, and you saw her overall numbers there. Into Liz Kitley, but that one turned away, and here comes Louisville.
Big block by Liz Dixon right there, one-on-one against Kitley in the middle of the lane.
Georgia Tech transfer, grad student, picking a spot to turn Virginia Tech away. And with a lead of 2, here's Louisville. And Lith tried it, rattled off a couple of cards, and then it's gathered up and knocked home by Robinson. Robinson seems to find herself in the right place at the right time down the stretch in these ACC games so often.
She really does that. Not a big score, but made a big basket right there.
She may not wow you with the numbers, but she picks her spots. And how about the answer on the other side? And Soule playing with a head of steam here. She's going to work herself to the line for and one. And remember, she's playing with 4 fouls of her own.
Yeah, we compared Morgan Jones and Taylor Soule to start the game too, and they have ended up against each other a lot. Taylor Soule right there with a big three-point opportunity.
Soule with 23, and she can get this back to 1 with just over 3.5 minutes to play. Soule 6 of 9 from the charity stripe tonight, and it is 72-71 between the teams picked 1-2 in the preseason in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And here's Van Lith.
Virginia Tech now trying to keep her on that side. Try not to let her keep going back and forth across those double screens at the top.
10 to shoot. Van Lith will. That's off far side.
Robinson again with a big play.
Fresh possession, and you called it. It's Robinson who secures it. By the way, 4 fouls for Soule and King, 4 fouls for Williams and Cochran on the other side. Keep that in mind across the final 3. Jones, left side, uses her length to somehow will that basket down, and she'll have an and one chance.
You talked about Jones going with the right hand. Reaches out with that length that you're talking about, a little contact.
And we just said it, that is number 5 on Soule,
who has been the best offensive weapon for Virginia Tech here in the 4th quarter.
She departs to a nice hand from the Hokies faithful with 24 points on a 9 of 14 from the floor night, as she is the first to depart. Just talked about that foul situation, and you still have to keep an eye on it, Coach. Number of players out there in less than solid footing across the final 258.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised we have not seen Cochran enter back into the game for Coach Walls.
What point do you try to utilize?
She's been on the bike over there. I'm not sure.
Maybe a little more going on there.
There might be more than just the foul situation.
Under 3 to play. Lead having grown to 4 now for Louisville. Cards playing against a ranked foe.
Robinson.
And looking for a win that would continue what's been a trend in the right direction. And this one maybe making its mark because you're on the road. You're against the 13th ranked team in the country, and you're getting full contribution from so many of your contributors like Robinson.
Yeah, Robinson guarding the post right there. Got around, knocked it away, always hustling, but Virginia Tech's got the basketball with a chance to cut into that 4-point spread.
It's a team that started the year top tier in the country, fell out of the rankings, right back now leading Tech, not by as much thanks to Traylor.
Hokies haven't done much from the perimeter, but what they've done has been Kiana Traylor with 3 threes.
KT, as they know her in these parts, 2nd team All-ACC tournament performer a year ago. Money shot late. And Jones back in there trying to lay another home. That had the potential, another of those improbable buckets as she uses all that length to somehow work close to the rim, but this time she's headed to the charity stripe instead.
How good a wide receiver would Morgan Jones be?
Really good, especially
Mike Norvell would have loved to have her down at Florida State, and now Coach Brom at Louisville.
Especially, Coach, with all the control she has of the extensions, really under control as she has worked her way to the basket in this one. Has this work off the right side of the rim.
And you can say, take away her right hand. That's just so hard to do.
5 of 9 and misses both of these.
And a Traylor with another big rebound, too.
You said it, Traylor with the rebound.
Louisville, a very good free throw shooting team. 76% as a team.
Rare misses, certainly to miss both, and it keeps Virginia Tech within 1. And on this possession, a chance for the Hokies to take the lead. Inside 2 minutes to play. Little step back. Moore drills it home.
Struggled all night, but when she needed to, she knocks it down.
This puts Moore in double figures, and it gives the Hokies the lead late. clutch shot from Georgia Amore. She becomes the 4th Hokie in double figures tonight, knocking down this bucket, which puts Virginia Tech out front late.
Against the best defender Louisville has, in Mikasa Robinson.
Hokies now on the defensive end of the floor. Can they make the 2-point advantage stick with 1:39 to go? Wide open underneath, and a solid pass in the finish for Dixon, just as true.
Set play coming out of the timeout for Jeff Walls. Ball screen, slipped the ball screen, and got to the rim wide open.
Blocked
Robinson.
by who else but Robinson, who picks her spots toward the end of these games. 77 all, with 75 seconds left to play in the basketball game. Off the side of the iron, Virginia Tech trying to let that go out. Let's take a look at this timely block for the Cards.
Yeah, Amore beats her man, but coming across, Robinson. She is so active on the defensive end.
Well, she is on both ends of the floor, what she's been able to provide at the right moment. 1 minute to play. Left side, Amore with the shot again that puts Virginia Tech out front, this time off the glass.
Who said she was struggling tonight?
Big three, and then the inside bucket, and it is 79-77 Hokies. Van Lith, too far underneath. Rebounded by Kitley, and she'll draw the contact. Georgia Amore for Virginia Tech down the stretch when it matters most. The big three, the inside basket, and then the toughness to turn Van Lith away, and it ends up in who else's hands but Kitley.
Yeah, and, you know, we talked about the fact that she goes through a lot of contact every single night, whether it's rebounder or trying to score.
75% free throw shooter, 59 of 79.
14 rebounds, but none bigger than that one. There's her dad, Ralph.
Yep, talked about him a little bit earlier and all the strong ACC connections in a variety of ways. This one rolls off, so she's going to end up 7 of 9 from the charity stripe, and the lead will not be extended past a single possession. It is 80-77 with timeout on the floor in the final minute at Castle. How about the basket that put Virginia Tech out front most recently from Georgia Amore?
She's so good. Watch the little crossover. Beats Van Lith. Is aware of where the defense is. The layup with the left hand. She is special.
Had just made the three on the trip down prior with Virginia Tech down 1 to give them the advantage. And the family loving it right now. Exactly. Still in town. And probably glad she was able to stick around into the new year for this one from Australia.
She's become a media celebrity herself. Radio shows, podcasts.
This is the one to see. You learned a little bit if you were with us at the break about Australian cooking, right? They introduced you to so much of the culture with that.
Did that tempt you at all?
Well, you know, it was hard to stay right here at the table once you learned about biscuits and everything else. But, yeah, families pouring so much into this. And let's step back for just a moment, Mac, and talk about how much these two teams have poured into this season. They were expected to be 1-2 coming into the year. They both had to battle through some adversity to put it together, but here they are separated by a possession with 42 seconds to play.
And nobody's losing this. Somebody is winning this game.
Van Lith close to the basket, somehow stays in there and keeps possession of the basketball, and she will earn her way to the line, as this foul is going to be against Gregg. That's just a second personal on Gregg.
It's not for the faint of heart either. Contact on the shot. See Van Lith drive it. There's contact. There's a Kitley, but Van Lith just competes. You heard Kenny Brooks say, she just competes so hard.
Nobody better at this spot. She shoots 89% from the free throw line coming into tonight. Knocks down another. And will pull the Cards within 1 at 80-79. 35.7 to play, but partner, it feels like an eternity here in Castle Coliseum.
Yeah, and if you're Kenny Brooks right now, you've got to decide what you're going to do. Are you going to take the first good shot that you get, Are you going to go deep into this shot clock? You can't run it all the way down, but you can get pretty close with the difference between the two at 5.7 seconds.
31 field goals in 59 tries for Louisville tonight. 30 field goals in 60 tries for Virginia Tech. 53% for the Cards, 50% for the Hokies. Up on the scoreboard, separated just 80-79. Now, possession arrow is with Virginia Tech. Keep that in mind should there be a tie up here as we close in on the final half minute.
That's important. Both teams have plenty of timeouts too. That's not a factor. But you talked about it earlier. Both teams not where they want to be, but they have played a great basketball game here tonight in Blacksburg.
And this is the type of night that can propel you where you want to be. The type of night that you can put it all together. These two teams certainly have the horses to do just that. Here's Louisville.
Turnover on the out-of-bounds play.
Take away on the inbound with 30 seconds and now underneath it to go. Van Lith with the ball in her hands and timeout. You mentioned there are plenty of them. We're going to start seeing them. It's called for by the Cards right now.
And Louisville is known for their defense. They have not been great tonight on defense. You mentioned the shooting percentages, but they were big on that play when they had to have one.
Here is that turnover.
Yeah, watching the backcourt. See Traylor wide open, but King doesn't see her. And Morgan Jones on the ball with her length got a hand on that pass.
Jones has 19 tonight. You had a couple of key moments defensively like that with it. 29 for Van Lith to lead the way. Take us inside Coach Wall's huddle right now as Louisville contemplates what they're going to do with this final 24 seconds.
Well, the obvious thing is they're down, so they're going to take the first good shot they can have. It's almost surely going to be in Van Lith's hands.
Separations 5 between the game clock and the shot clock, which is at 19. 24.7 to settle it.
Georgia
overall.
Amore is matched up against Van Lith.
Trying to inbound this to Carr, and they will. Again, separation about 5 between game clock and shot clock.
Watch the ball screen slip right there. Virginia Tech was ready for it, handled it really well.
Hokies covered what was the last money possession for Louisville. Van Lith tried the glass. Didn't go, and in the end, it appears Virginia Tech is coming out of there with it. Big high five between Amore and Kitley as the Hokies will try and salt this one away with 4.8 to play.
Amore one-on-one against one of the best players in the league, contests the shot. Now watch her work for the rebound right here. With Van Lith on her back, and then the timeout by Gregg. Heads up. Deasia Gregg is one of the very best mental preparations in the league.
And boy, did it pay off in that moment.
She's got the high basketball IQ, realized Amore was in a little bit of trouble, called timeout. But of course now, Virginia Tech's got to get the basketball inbounds.
And what can you say for Georgia Amore from Victoria, Australia, mom in town? She hits the 3 to put Virginia Tech out front. She drives to the bucket to put Virginia Tech back out front, and now she comes away with the rebound on the defensive end of the floor that may very well be the decisive moment.
Yeah, and before that, contested the shot by Van Lith, made her miss the shot, and then came up with the rebound.
There's a look.
Clutch is a good name.
There's a look into that Louisville huddle. You see Van Lith. Time now drawing short at 4.8 to play.
Remember last time on the side out of bounds, the last time this happened, Virginia Tech did not get the ball in bounds.
Read my mind. Just going to say Virginia Tech has to do what did not happen to design. The last go round. And they have Kayla King to inbound. She's going to be covered up over there by Jones. 4.8 to go. Foul of who else but Amore with the way things have gone for the Hokies of late as it's in her hands.
Yeah, an 80%, the best free throw shooter on the team for Virginia Tech. Well designed, sideline out of bounds that time by Kenny Brooks. Van Lith with the smart play, only 1.1 seconds comes off the clock.
Her first free throw of the night, and it is back of the iron. You said it. Quickly handled by Louisville. so that the opportunity will still be there. 3 and change left. And she knocks down the second, so the lead will be 2. Couldn't get to the maximum of that single possession by missing the first. But Virginia Tech will have the lead as Louisville is set to inbound the basketball.
Yeah, and this is where the women's basketball has it over the men with the ability to advance the basketball with the timeout. It just changes all the strategy that you might have right here. Now, right now, Kenny Brooks wished they didn't have that rule. He wishes they didn't have that rule and had to go the length of the court. But the fact is they're going to be able to inbound it in the front court with plenty of time to get a shot.
It is in effect, and therefore walk us through the strategy. Take us one more time inside that Louisville huddle, Coach.
You do have a lot of options. You know, obviously Van Lith is your #1 option, but you don't have much time to take it off the dribble. You do have time to catch it, dribble or two, and take a jump shot, but you probably are going to look for something off this out-of-bounds play, and you have a lot of choices out there. Carr is a great perimeter shooter. Kenny Brooks sees the alignment, and now he calls timeout to adjust the defense.
Yeah, one timeout deserves another.
Yeah,
Let's the drama build a little more.
The chess match continues.
What do you say to your team? We talked about being inside that Louisville huddle a moment ago, but if you're Virginia Tech, you have the 2-point lead. What do you say to your team at this juncture in such a huge basketball game in the ACC?
Well, you know, they practice these things every day. You know, they do special situations, last-minute situations, so they're aware of this. But right now, the big thing is they have to decide, are we switching? Are we not switching? And everybody's got to be aware of who can shoot the jump shot and who can't shoot the jump shot. And they've been doing a pretty good job of that all night long.
Bonus in effect both ways. Possession arrow again is with Virginia Tech. Should there be some kind of tie-up here, but with 3.7 to play, it's in Louisville's hands, down 2. Van Lith puts it up, won't go, ends up in King's hands. And Virginia Tech hangs on with an 81-79 victory over Louisville inside Cassell Coliseum. The top 2 teams preseason in the ACC provided a classic on this Thursday night in Blacksburg, Virginia.
Started the game by talking about the fact that neither team was where they wanted to be, but they played a classic game here tonight. Nice back cut right there. Van Lith gets the basketball. Thought she got fouled. Kayla King ends up with the basketball, and Virginia Tech with a huge win.
Cochran came out in that personnel grouping. They worked her to the far side. You see Van Lith with it in her hands, and in the end, Virginia Tech finally able to secure that first ACC victory against Louisville. We talked 95 no more. It's about 20-23 now. Hokies pick up the win.
Kenny Brooks showing a lot of emotion after that game for his first win over Jeff Walls. And that Louisville is, you know, kind of the gold standard along with NC State, but Virginia Tech has been making progress every single year.
It was the only school he had not beaten in his tenure here in Blacksburg. Able to take care of that business tonight. A huge win for Virginia Tech in ACC play. Hokies led by Soule with 24. Kitley strong start with 20. Trailer with 17, and in the end, the Hokies pick up an 81-79 win over Louisville. Big ACC victory in Blacksburg tonight. For our entire crew, we say thanks for watching this Shoes for Hope game and a classic ACC battle on this Thursday evening.